say the least. The feds arrest a third Chinese national for allegedly smuggling biological materials into the United States and making false statements about it. According to the DOJ, the suspect is a PhD student in Wuhan. They say she sent 4 packages containing the concealed materials to a laboratory at the University of Michigan. Joining us now is Fox News contributor Andy McCarthy, a former assistant U.S. attorney. And I want to run by what a current U.S. attorney said about all of this. This is Jerome F. Gorgon Jr. The alleged smuggling of biological materials by this alien from a science and technology university in Wuhan, China, to be used at a University of Michigan laboratory is part of an alarming pattern that threatens our security. The American taxpayer should not be underwriting a PRC-based smuggling operation at one of our crucial public institutions. I mean, the fact that this stuff came from Wuhan, what are you thinking?
Well, it's alarming, John. Usually when you're talking about bioweapons, according to the complaint, what we're talking about here is roundworm, which is a parasite. So it's not a virus or a bacteria or a toxin, which is what we generally look for with bioweapons. But it's alarming in a number of ways. It could be involved in, contamination of humans, of agriculture, of water supply. So you have to be concerned about that. The fact that it's coming from China, the fact that the student evidently swiped or wiped the communications device she had clean before she came here, I think 3 days before coming to the United States. All of that is alarming. I think, though, the Justice Department appears to be going at it with, appropriate caution. According to the press release they put out, they said that they hadn't even decided whether to indict the case yet. This person was arrested on a complaint, so we'll have to see going forward. I think they're trying to grapple with what they're dealing with.
This comes on the heels of what we saw last week, samples of certain fungi being seized. And those are fungi that, if they got out, the greater agricultural community here in the United States could do enormous damage to our crops, even have deleterious effects on animals and humans.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And again, the thing is, if this was a random kid from a different country, we might be able to sort of slough it off a little bit more. Obviously, you always have to be cautious. But because of the involvement in China, and because China presses its people and its companies into the service of its intelligence and military activities, you have to assume the worst and hope as you investigate that it turns out to be benign.
All right, let's turn our attention to California, since that really is the big news of the day. So Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, is suing President Trump for sending the National Guard to Los Angeles without either his request or his okay. Also critical of the deployment of 700 Marines. This is what Gavin Newsom wrote on X. He said, quote, U.S. Marines serve a valuable purpose for this country, defending democracy. They're not political pawns. The Secretary of Defense is illegally deploying them onto American streets so Trump can have a talking point at his parade this weekend. It's a blatant abuse of power. We will sue to stop this. The courts and Congress must act. Checks and balances are crumbling. This is a red line, and they're crossing it. Wake up. In terms of this idea of it being illegal to deploy the Marines, they're just there, my understanding is a stopgap until all of the National Guard are mobilized. Does President Trump have the law on his side, or does Newsom?
The president absolutely has the law on his side. Since the Civil War, the courts have recognized that the president not only has the authority, but the duty to protect the United States when there are conditions that could lead to violent rebellion. Enforcement of the immigration laws is a plenary federal responsibility. The Supreme Court has held that for years now. And the president has unquestioned authority to protect federal personnel, federal resources, federal facilities, including the buildings that have been attacked, and obviously to protect the execution of federal law. So I really don't think Newsom has a leg to stand on here.
All right, so let me ask you this question. Newsom obviously is going to try to go to some friendly district court in California. How quickly do you think could this get to the Supreme Court on an emergency petition from the White House very quickly?
Yeah, I think Chief Justice Roberts has been pretty emphatic, John, that the court can act quickly when there's an emergent situation. I don't expect that Newsom is going to find the courts to be as friendly as perhaps he expects.
Interesting. All right, Andy, we'll see how this progresses. It certainly will be fascinating to watch all this unfold. Appreciate your time, sir. We'll see you again soon.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.